Hi, it's Michelle here from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really cute snowman card. It's not a Christmas card, it's more what I would call an empathy card, so you can use it for any occasion that you want to say you're sorry or you feel for somebody, or maybe even a sympathy card, etc. And I'm using the lovely Genuine Gems stamp set. It's got a lot of really good sayings in here that can be used for those times that you just don't really know what to say. So I thought they're perfect for the snowman who's lost his head. This one, it says, well, this is just difficult. And inside it says, I just didn't know what to say. So I'll be showing you how to do this card with a few different techniques. The main one is how to get the snowflake effect, like the blizzard effect with our new puffy paints. All right, so let's get started. So for this card, I just use a Whisper White card base. So I've already prepared a Whisper White thick card base. Then I've got 2 pieces of Balmy Blue mats. And these pieces I've cut at 14.3 by 10 centimeters, which is 5 5/8 by 4 inches. One's for the front and one is for the inside. And then I've got a Whisper White thin piece for the inside, cut at 13.8 by 9.5 centimeters, which is 5 7/16 by 3 3/4, to go in there for the sentiment. On the front, I've got 2 pieces of card that I'll be ripping to do the snow effect. So it doesn't matter with the height of these pieces because they will be ripped, but you need to have them to be the same width as your mat, so they go edge to edge. So for these, they need to be at least 10 centimeters across for this card, which is about 4 inches, or adjusted for the card for the country that you're making it. So we got those 2, and then another piece of Whisper White, just any size big enough to cut 3 of the circles, the layering circles out of to make your snowman. So that size doesn't matter for that. And then I've got some scrap black for the hat, scrap old olive for the hat band, and some scrap pumpkin pie to do the nose. And I've used some scrap early espresso for the arms, and so that just is whatever color or scrap you've got lying around, you can do those pieces as well. Okay, so let's get started. I will show you the technique for doing the snow to get started. So on your Balmy Blue, I'm going to move that out of the way because it's going to get a bit messy. Using our new Snowfall Accents Puff Paint. It's in the holiday catalog. This is fabulous because it puffs up when you heat it with the heat tool. So normally you just take it and you would just do dots all over the background. However, sometimes you can get really big dots and not the sizes you want. And as you can see, I've got a lot of snow there, so for me to do dots all over the background, it would take ages. So I came up with this other idea, using just any piece of plastic just to hold the paint in. Got some there. Just put a blob of paint down. And then I've just got some little brushes. These are like little sample makeup brushes, but you can use whatever you want as far as the brushes go. But I recommend using something that you either wash it straight away or it's disposable, because being paint, it will clog up the bristles, and you won't be able to use it again unless you wash it straight away. So I'm just gonna stick the brush into the paint, so load it up with a bit of the paint, and then I'm just going to tap the brush to get some of the paint to show up on the background. Now you want blobs, and it's good to have different size blobs. Keep in mind that the bottom of the card is going to be covered with the white snow background, so you don't need a lot on there. It looks like I need a bit more, so a bit more on there. And so get paint on there and just tap away. Ooh, that's some big ones. And this is going to make it so your card's going to be different. Every card you do is going to be different. You're never going to get the same effect. And depending on how hard you hit it or how close you are to the card will give you a different effect. So I'll hold this up in a minute to show you what I've got. So I came up with this idea because I was actually going to stamp the background. Then I thought, oh, I might just maybe just do this with ink. And then I remembered about our lovely puff paint and thought that might make a good effect. Okay, so you don't want to leave it too long because you want to be able to puff it up. So if I hold that up there so you can see, whoop, bit of a shadow there, you can see some of those little dots. So now I'm going to go away and heat that with my embossing heat tool, and I'll come right back and show you the effect. Okay, so now I'm back after heating it up, and as you can see, all those little splatters turned into a puffy, snow, blizzardy background. So if you find areas that you missed or you want to add more to, you can just do some extra little dots wherever you want, and then go back and heat those areas. So it's a really great product. So now we'll put that aside and we'll work on our shimmery, our snowy background. So with the card, you just take it and you just tear it. And so tear it into a shape so you're going to have maybe a hill rolling so the head can roll down the hill. And see, as I tear it, you get those rough edges, which is what you want. So take both of them and just tear it whatever way you want. You can have big hills and small hills, etc. Great thing with this is if you don't like the way it looks, just tear a bit more. Okay, so I end up with 4 pieces here, and then I've got to decide where I want to set them on the background. So when I have torn the paper, see, it's like that, but I don't want to use this side of it because it doesn't have the same effect. If you turn it over, you get that little bit of roughness at the torn edge, so that way you get, it all kind of looks kind of snowdrift like. So that looks like a mountain right there. So using them, you kind of decide how you want your background to look. And you can put them anywhere you want. Like I've got those layers. I think that's a bit too mountain-ish, so I might put a layer there. And so just work with it to see what area you like or how you want it to sit. What's the best look that you're going for. And so that's kind of the hardest part, is trying to figure out how do you want things to look. So I want it to look like there's a bit of a snowdrift going on there and things falling down. So decide how you want your little background to look. And I kind of think I like that there. It's looking kind of snowy like, okay? And remember, you want to have a space somewhere on the front of the card to stamp your sentiment on, okay? So I'm thinking that might look a bit too high over there, so maybe go this way and go like that. Okay. Got some mountains in the background, maybe some hills. Okay, so when you could play around with this for ages trying to decide how you like the look. But once you decide the way you want it to be to look, then what I suggest you do is you glue the backgrounds together. So just go into the back and putting a bit of glue or your adhesive on the back, but just on the bottom part, and then just layering it up the way you were looking at it. So layer it up on the back, side to side, make sure your sides are touching each other. Okay, and then, so you only want the glue at the very bottom of the pieces that you're putting together, and I'll show you why in a minute. It's the way you want the effect to come. So we went side to side, and then a bit of glue there, just on the bottom. And then we'll put that one down a bit further down. Nice thing with the liquid glue is you get a little wiggle room so you can adjust it, okay? So then once you're happy with the way it's looking, then you can adhere it to your Balmy Blue cardstock. And when you stick it to this, you want it to go right edge to edge and all the way down the bottom. So this final piece, you can then just put your adhesive around the whole side of that. Okay, maybe a little bit there. And stick it down edge to edge. And as I said, using the Tombow gives you wiggle room, so you can just push it into place if you need to. You need to wiggle it into your place, okay? All right, so that's our snow down there. So that's our snowy snowdrift. All right. And then don't want to forget to put the words on this. And so this one I'm gonna stamp different words on it. So on the outside I'm gonna have nothing else to say but, and the inside it's gonna be, I know this must be hard for you. So I will stamp my words, well, before I forget, with my Memento ink, which I really like. I always turn over the stamp to check that it's fully inked. Nothing worse than stamping and then finding out you didn't get the ink everywhere. And give it nice firm pressure down, straight down, and straight up. And the letters on this card set, the stamp set, are meant to be a bit broken up letter-wise. And then I'm just looking for my inside. So I'll stamp the inside. Now, I have a tip video, quick tips, that tells you that you should always stamp before you adhere things, because if you stamp something crooked, there's always two sides to every piece of card. So let's see if I can do that right. I always seem to stamp things wrong way. So straight down, straight up. That looks pretty good. So you can see how the letters on the top look like they're not solid, but that's actually what the stamp set's supposed to do. So it's not that I didn't get ink like around the O and the N on the word no. It's actually meant to be that way. So there's my inside. I'll move this out of the way so I don't get ink anywhere. Okay. So I got my inside and I got my outside. So now I need to cut circles for my snowman, and I also need to cut my early espresso. I'll use the die cut branch. I'll use this for another snowman that I did. I really love it because it makes really good arms. This is from the seasonal layers thin die set. So I just put a little scrap of early espresso in this part of the branch, and it gives you really good arms. So I will go cut those and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've done my cutting and I've cut two branches for arms with the early espresso, and then I've also used the extra piece of white paper to cut 3 of the smallest layering circles, so I end up having 3 parts for my snowman. So I'll take those ones off. Now, to do your snowman, the reason I only glued the bottom of each one is so you can actually slip the different parts of the snowman in there, and it looks like he's actually stuck into the bit of snow there. So decide where you want things to sit before you put your card together. So I'll probably have the head stuck in the snow down there. I might even have the snowman a bit further up. Might even tuck him up there a bit further away, and have him there, and then the head can be just down there maybe. Okay, so decide how you want it to go, and then you can stick everything down. So pop the base of my snowman down. There we go. All right. I think I'll actually just tuck him in there. So it looks like his head fell right down there. And then the body of the snowman, and I'll pop the head down too. So the body of the snowman, tuck the head just in there. I popped up with some dimensionals. So just to put him up there. I could stick him straight down, but I gave him a bit of height with a couple dimensionals on the back. Okay. And as if you've seen any of my other videos, I always cut my dimensionals in half so I don't use as many. And then just popping up the center of the paper on the dimensionals makes them come up. If you poke in the middle, and it just pops up right easily. So this is going to be the body of my snowman. So just put him up there. Looks like he's kind of hanging there. Okay. And then I need to decide where to put the arms. So I usually flip the arms over so it doesn't look like you've got two right or two left arms. So you can might put them both around there. And then you can cut them shorter if you want, or you can leave them long. I might actually snip these. They look a bit too long for my liking. So I'll cut that. And that one as well. Just about there. And you only need to have the glue just in the little end part, so the arms stick up a bit. However, when you stick it into a envelope, you just got to watch out you don't catch the arms. So got his arms reaching down. And this one bit of glue there, just a tiny bit. And have his other arm reaching down for his head. Okay, so the scrap piece of black will be his hat. This one I made quite big, so I don't really need that much of it. So just cut a hat shape, just snip it from either side to give me the hat brim. And then I just cut it down. Do whatever size or whatever thickness hat you want. And there we go. And there. Okay. I'm going to have a tall little top hat there. It's got a really tall hat on that guy. I think it's a bit too tall. Snip it down. Okay, and then cut a little piece of old olive, any scrap you have, just a thin band to become his hat band. So we got a little thin hat band. Put a bit of glue right where you want it to go. And stick it on there. And then just fold over the edges to give you a nice even coverage for your little color. So that's a little pop of color, however you want it to be. A bit long on the back there. Okay. And then just a bit of glue to hold that hat band in place. Now I popped the hat up with some dimensionals as well. I use the mini dimensionals just to pop it up. Might put just that one there, and then we'll put one of these just to hold the bits in place. Okay. So that gives us our hat. Alright, and so you just got to decide where is he falling. I'm going to have him hat at an angle so he can be looking up at his body. Okay. Then you have a scrap bit of pumpkin pie to make the nose. So I always just go from one of the straight bits and just cut it at an angle, depending on how big you want the nose to be. Quite a big nose there. It's okay. Some people have big noses. There we go. And then using the basic black pen, just put a couple lines on your nose to make it look more like it's a carrot, the ridges on the carrot. There you go. And then you can pop the nose down. Made that kind of an odd shaped nose. So pop the nose down with a bit of glue. With his nose. Okay. So now we're ready for some eyes and some buttons on our snowman. So when you're making a card, if you don't have the right size colored items that you need, my suggestion is to use Stampin' blends with the pearls or the rhinestones. So I'm going to get my basic black dark Stampin' blends, and I'm going to color a couple of these pearls. I've already done one earlier, and so color another one. This is a great thing about the Stampin' blends is they, because they're alcohol based, you can color on things and it stays. Okay, so I'll leave that for a second to dry. And then for the buttons, yes, I know they're supposed to be coal or whatever, but I like to add a color. So I'm using the real red, dark real red Stampin' blends to color the buttons. And I can see with that line that that's the thick end, the brush end. And if you color onto your rhinestones, you still get the shininess of the rhinestone even though it's been colored over. So use the blends, I can color right over that. And then I usually use my scissors, the tips of my scissors, to pick up sticky things, because see, there's sticky still on the bottom there. So I pop one eyeball there. I think he's looking up for like about that angle. And the other eyeball. Oh. Let's get that eyeball going the way I want it to go. Oh, not over there, eyeball. There you go. That looks about right. Okay, and then I can put my bling, my buttons on. So I'll put one button up here to show the center of his shirt. I guess snowmen don't really wear shirts, do they? And then another one coming down there. Okay, so there's the little buttons. So I got the front of my card done with the snow. I could add a bit more snow if I want. My suggestion is if you do add, just be careful because it does come out, if you squish it, you get big blobs. So it's better just to touch the areas that you want to add the snow to. So it's a good thing to practice with. So I'm not giving it any pressure. I'm just going to touch the areas that I want to add some more snow to. And so just a few dots here and there. So if you want snow somewhere else to add to it, or bigger blobs, you can do that. Okay, so I just added a few more blobs of snow onto my card, and I will go heat that up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've heated the extra snowballs that I did with the puff paint, so you can see I've got some